Part 193. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1925. It takes a genius to remember the address of this website in 1 second, fastest update. No ads? Jia Yan used the power of brain waves to give orders to Edisha. Good master. Edisha responded quickly. The two masters and servants have long wanted to leave the star field. If Jia Yan had not mutated without delay, he would never stay in this area where danger may appear anytime and anywhere. Now that the war was over, he naturally left the area quickly. The courage of ordinary people is not what Jia Yan has been doing. Revenge is something Jia Yan has always thought about, but that depends on his personal strength. The actual situation today is that his personal strength is still unable to do such a thing. So he was escaping quickly, and it would not be too late to come back for revenge when he was able to fight in the future. Boom 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 boom. Outside of subspace, there is actually a group of strong people who move quickly between subspace and gravitational wave systems. They are following Jia Yan's traces. Damn it, he's moving too fast. We can't catch up at all. If this continues, as long as he moves far away, the traces will be eliminated. It would be more difficult to observe the 10-dimensional space with instruments. What should we do? If we can't catch up, this loss will be in vain. Even if you can't catch up, you have to catch up. There is always a chance. The group of creatures flying within the starry sky are naturally the 6 galaxy-level beings that had besieged Jia Yan before. You know, the 6 galaxy-level beings, even in this star field with many powerful people, are not considered small tricks. They fly with great momentum. But even so, they were still extremely unwilling to achieve their goal of successfully tracking Jia Yan. The loss of a strong man made them extremely upset. Moreover, that creature is obviously in the process of some kind of change, and they are afraid that if the change succeeds and the creature becomes stronger, he will come back to retaliate against them. In this way, they don't want to give up, and they don't dare to give up. If they are retaliated by this creature in the future, they will be fine hiding next to the Territory Lord, but who has the opportunity to hide near the Territory Lord all the time? If they were farther away, it would be too late for the Territory Lord to come back for help, and they would still have to die. That would be too dangerous. These creatures refused to give up. But the fugitive who flew away was too fast. In the 10th dimension, even in this starry sky where there are many strong and talented people, and even in the star field at the center of the Milky Way, not many people can fly. The escapee had this kind of flying method, which made them very annoyed. After all, he had a faster flying method than them, and it was extremely troublesome to track him. The battle and the pursuit in the starry sky seemed to be overwhelming and extremely shocking. But in fact, their battle only took place in a starry sky and did not spread. There is no domain master creature that can change the environment of a starry sky when fighting. Therefore, no one can observe this battle from a distance. Even if they can observe it, because the speed of light is the speed of light, the battle in a remote place was observed by distant creatures, at least a long time later. It's just that Jia Yan didn't sigh at the place where the battle passed. If he had the leisure, he would definitely sigh at this time. He will sigh that he has reached a level that he could not imagine before. For the sake of the star core, several planets were turned into Death Stars, and large areas of starry sky material were destroyed during the battle, which was earth-shattering. With his current strength, even if he is asked to think of a way to crack or explode the Earth, he can find a way. And this is still under the condition that his mutation has not been completely completed. When it is completed, what his strength will become depends on the situation. Hurry up, the feeling of mutation seems to have come to an end. It won't take long for my body to be completely regenerated. Jia Yan has been working wholeheartedly to increase his mutation speed in the subspace. If this last moment of mutation can be completed, even if he knows that he is still being tracked, he will have nothing to fear. Even if he is bolder, he will not be afraid to return to fight the pursuer. Click, click, click. The surface of Jia Yan's cocoon body was covered with injuries from the battle, with pits, and something seemed to be slowly squirming inside, as if there was some terrifying behemoth preparing to be reborn inside. Master, come on, if you succeed in mutating, you won't have to worry about anyone. Atissa was inside the Atissa, constantly cheering and encouraging Jia Yan. In the previous battle, it performed well, especially at the last moment. It used the Atissa's rays to solve a big problem for Jia Yan, which was to prevent the two injured from joining the battle group. After all, at that time, when dealing with the four powerful men, if there are two injured people joining him, even if they are only wounded with weakened combat power, it will make it more difficult for him to escape. If he is not careful, he will become irreversible. Of course, Atissa did not take credit for herself, but continued to encourage Jia Yan. As an intelligence, it is already extremely intelligent, but it has not yet fully reached the level of self-awareness. In short, Atissa played a big role, and Jia Yan kept it in his heart. If there is a chance in the future, he will definitely help Atissa realize its long-cherished wish and turn it into a truly living existence. In fact, there are many such beings in the Milky Way. They were born from intelligence and brain, but eventually they became life, and even created a race of life. But now I don't seem to have heard of it. Jia Yan feels that even if that kind of creature is born, it will soon be wiped out by a group of powerful creatures. After all, normal creatures still prefer the existence of things that are as similar to themselves as possible, rather than beings born in the same way as them, which will naturally be disgusted by many people. But at this time, these thoughts only ran through Jia Yan's mind. His primary purpose was still to save his life and improve his strength. Oh, no, I can't mutate successfully in the subspace. I have to wait until I find a place with relatively rich resources and carry out the final step of devouring resources before I can complete all my mutations. Jia Yan tried hard, but still sighed helplessly. He had tried extremely hard, but there was nothing he could do. The battle during the previous mutation had actually interrupted the process of mutation. He didn't know if there would be any problems with the complete mutation this time. He didn't even know if his mutation would make him satisfy. But the previous mutation was also the same, with the intervention of external forces. Therefore, he felt that his mutation should not fail or have any dissatisfaction. Even because there are external forces attacking him, the effect of mutation should be better. In short, the mutation cannot be successful yet. If you want to succeed, you have to wait until a place with resources. Master, we are rapidly approaching the center of the Milky Way. However, I have obtained some information about this starry sky before and believe that it would be unwise for us to enter the center of the Milky Way while your body has not recovered. Atissa suddenly said this to Jia Yan. Huh? Isn't it unwise? Okay, if that's the case, don't rush in. You choose a safer and more suitable place. Please, Atissa. Okay, I'll choose the good one. Atissa responded to Jia Yan. Jia Yan didn't ask for details about why Atissa couldn't directly enter the center of the galaxy. He needed to devote himself wholeheartedly to controlling his mutation process. After all, his mutation was actually a huge matter, not to mention that he was still dragging his feet. This is actually not a good thing for mutation, so Jia Yan needs to use his own energy to see if he can delay the time and prevent the mutation from having any bad effects. Of course, Atissa didn't have any ill intentions towards Jia Yan, so Jia Yan chose to believe in the judgment of this intelligent being. He, on the other hand, controls his mutation wholeheartedly. There are many places near the central star field of the Milky Way. In fact, in the star field near the center of the Milky Way, there are already many strong people in some areas. In some places, the density of strong people is even comparable to that in the center of the Milky Way. There are even rumors that there are extremely powerful domain lords in many star regions, and there are even more exaggerated rumors that there are high-level beings from the galaxy. Of course, it is generally difficult to see the powerful beings of high-level beings in the galaxy. It is said that high-level creatures in the galaxy, even within the central star field of the galaxy, do not like to show up very much. As for the existence of the peak of the galaxy, or the peak of the galaxy, which is more terrifying than the high-level ones, even in the central region of the galaxy, it seems that there have been no rumors for a long time, and no one has seen it. In the entire galaxy, not many people know whether there are still strong people at the pinnacle of the galaxy. However, today's topic is not a topic for the strong. Instead, Edisha is choosing which star field near the center of the galaxy has the least powerful people. Yes, it is picking the place with the least powerful people. After all, what Jia Yan needs is extreme silence. If you go to a place where there are many strong people, this kind of thing is definitely not a good thing for Jia Yan. Is there anything in the process of Jia Yan's mutation? Come and take a look out of curiosity, knowing that he is a star in a special state. If the level exists, then the chance of taking action is too high. Normally, those below the middle level of galaxy would be fine, but if a more powerful intermediate galaxy, or even a territory lord, came, it would be a big trouble. Here, the master said that he also wants to go to a place where no one cares. This place is quite suitable, but the surrounding area is a bit barren and even a bit environmentally dangerous. Inside the Edisha, he called up a map. These maps were the public versions of the maps he had downloaded after connecting to the internet in the previous star fields. Even though it was something from the street, it was still of great help to him. After all, no matter what, it was much better than the centuries-old version in the hands of the Zerg Queen. The Edissa moved quickly, pushing Jia Yan towards the place chosen by Edissa. Jia Yan returned to his previous feeling, neither speaking nor moving. If they didn't know that he had fought in a battle before, some people might have thought that he died in this subspace. I don't know how much time has passed, but it has been so long that Jia Yan thinks that this should be the longest mutation he has experienced. In fact, it was also the longest one. In short, Jia Yan had been holding back, trying not to let anything happen to his mutated body. Because there were no outside resources coming in, his body had several riots, and even once, it slightly affected Jia Yan's plan. Fortunately, his control power is quite amazing. At least he can adjust his body to the best condition before the problem occurs. We're here, Master, please bear with us. Seeing how uncomfortable Jia Yan was, Edisha finally aimed the Edisha at the place she recognized and rushed out of the subspace. In the process, the Edisha slightly damaged its engine, but the Edisha was not heartbroken at all, because for the sake of Jia Yan's body, it didn't think that a little damage to the Edisha would do anything. It's a problem, not to mention it's not something that can't be fixed. Are we there? Very good, Edisha, don't worry, check the surroundings carefully to see if there is any danger before leaving the subspace. Okay. Edisha knows Jia Yan's worries. After all, the closer you get to the central star region of the galaxy, the more danger there will be. This does not only refer to the danger of strong people, but even the danger of living things. On a larger level, this refers to environmental dangers, because galaxies are like this. The closer you get to the central area, the greater the energy gathered. For example, in the central area of the Milky Way, the density of stars in it is extremely amazing, and there are so many black holes, meteorite materials, etc. here that outside creatures cannot even imagine them. Of course, that being said, in fact there is still some distance between stars, at least not so dense that they are crowded together. Although the Edissa was relatively nervous, it was really not that easy to meet people just by randomly finding a space with no planets in the universe. So a moment later, in the dark space of space, A spaceship squeezed out of subspace and appeared here carrying a creature that was far larger than it, so no one noticed it. Of course, the ones who need to worry most are the powerful ones above the galaxy level. If there is that kind of strong person living nearby, even if they are hundreds of millions of kilometers apart, they may be able to detect the changes in the starry sky. Of course, the most likely possibility is to detect the appearance of a strong person here. If this is bad luck, the Edisha will have no choice but to help Jia Yan enter the subspace, and then they will change direction again until they find a more convenient place. So speaking of it, it is relatively safe, unless they run into the arms of a big force or strong man, then there is nothing they can do. Of course this is unlikely. Come out, Master. There are no strong people or civilization outside. We can come and go freely here. Edisha was extremely happy and shouted to Jia Yan, who was definitely still conscious. Very well, Edissa, release your exploration machine and see if there are any substances around that are worthy of my absorption. I want to get my body back to normal as soon as possible. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1926. It takes a genius to remember the address of this website in 1 second, fastest update. No ads? Jia Yan released the power of his brainwaves and told Edisha. Okay. Edisha was busy and released a large number of detection machines. During this period, Jia Yan tried to see if his body could carry out the final step of mutation in a normal space without using materials. Unfortunately, things are not that simple. Ultra-high energy materials are a must. Trouble, if there are super high energy materials, they must be occupied by some large forces or strong people. How could I get them without fighting? But if I fight, with my current physical condition, I can't get them. Is it possible to fight? Jia Yan felt a little tricky in the normal space. Ah, Master, this space feels a little weird. Suddenly, Edisha noticed that the space around her seemed a little strange. Because such a large number of detection machines fly in all directions instantly, the range that Edisha can detect will be larger than Jia Yan's strong sense, so it knows a lot of information Jia Yan didn't know. What's wrong? Jia Yan was a little weird and asked quickly. What he fears most is that there are some strong people or some powerful civilizations in this space. If that were the case, it would be difficult for him not to cause any trouble. But now, causing trouble means that his mutation will stop, and no one knows what the consequences will be. It's not that I found enemy traces or anything, but this space feels very strange. It's like... Edisha didn't know how to explain. It simply handed over its observation results to Jia Yan for viewing. After Jia Yan saw it, he felt very strange for a moment. As expected, the surrounding starry sky actually felt a bit weird. Editha had specifically chosen this starry sky because it was marked on the map as an empty space, or rather far away from other star systems, even in a densely populated area. In the center of the Milky Way, a place like this is not easy to use. It should be empty. But now, in this starry sky, there is something like a sun. It's just that this sun-like thing looks different from a normal star. It is an extremely huge star, but it is still much smaller than the real sun. This star should not have appeared in the starry sky. It was obvious that there were traces of man-made manipulation. Ever since, Jia Yan felt something strange. Like Edisha, he felt that something must be going on in this starry sky. Master, the detector also found some interstellar machinery. These machinery are very weird, like very rudimentary intelligence. Edisha reported the information again. The intelligence it pulled out showed that their detectors actually found some equipment that was also wandering in the starry sky, flying in the interstellar space. The detectors of both sides even had a confrontation in the universe. I look at the news around me. Edisha dialed up the network signal of this starry sky. Thanks to the network signal in the near-center region of this advanced galaxy, Edisha quickly came to a conclusion. I see, This is actually a game. What game? Jia Yan was confused and felt a little strange. After Edish's explanation, Jia Yan realized that this was actually a game. In this starry sky, because there are too many creatures and civilizations around, there is almost no place for everyone to have fun. Therefore, this starry sky was originally empty, but there were a large number of developers and the like. After going here, a game developer finally found this starry sky and turned it into a gaming venue. The people who come to play in this venue must be rich or scholars. What they want to do is to develop the intellectual brain civilization here. Of course, this is like a game. Although the intellectual brain can be intelligent, it will never develop to the level of a real civilization. At a certain stage, intelligent civilization will self-destruct. Here, there are many players, and each player can choose to be the leader of an intelligent civilization, a top soldier within it, or an intellectual genius. The only purpose is to defeat other players and achieve the final victory. I have to say that this is already enough, because after a game is played, it may last for decades, and players will spend decades here. If it were Jia Yan, if you have this time, why not do some cultivation or something like that? Of course, this kind of thing depends on personal choice. For example, these people choose to waste their time here. Just like he wishes to break his time in half every day to practice, they wish to double their gaming time. Everyone has different values. Jia Yan pursues the path of being strong, while the people here pursue the path of games. And there are live broadcasts and the like. It's amazing. The people here are like professional players, but they have no contact with the outside world and can't get information from the outside world. Jia Yan looked at the information above, and as he looked at it, his eyes lit up. Because here, there seems to be a huge resource library. These resources can actually be recycled continuously in this starry sky. Every time a player comes here to play the game, the minerals inside are decomposed, creating a mechanical intelligence civilization. When the game is over, these minerals will be broken down into minerals again, waiting for the next player to use them. This is like a huge treasure that will never be exhausted. As for whether there will be players, it is impossible to take the resources here out. After all, those who can operate this kind of game will definitely not be weak, even those players should also be less interested in these available resources. But it is different for Jia Yan. Some of these resource lists are actually extremely huge energies. If he can use them, it is possible to completely devour these energies and become his last bit of mutant power. Humph, this place has been operating for many years, and it should have returned to its roots. I just need this energy, so just give it to me happily. Jia Yan knew that in the universe, what matters most is the strong. Although this starry sky is relatively close to the center of the Milky Way, even the mid-level powerhouses in the center of the Milky Way are not just cabbages that can be seen casually on the roadside, so he knows that this game, no matter what, the people on the operator side are unlikely to be above his level, so he feels that since he is the strong one, he should enjoy all this. Of course, Jia Yan knows that this is a fallacy, but the strong are so domineering in the starry sky, not to mention that he really needs it too much. The high-sounding reason is not the answer Jia Yan wants. If he wants to give up, it is his answer. Humph, go ahead and do it. Edisha had some communication with Jia Yan. He can't be too noisy now, at least not until his mutation is completely completed. Then he has a way, join the game. Players of this game can join at will, not to mention that Jia Yan does meet the conditions to join. It's not that you have never joined halfway, but many players join halfway. Some players even quit if they feel it's not fun halfway through, so that their resources are the starting point for the next new player. Capital, this kind of game is not something that can be completed overnight, so it doesn't matter if it is slower. Some players even joined the game within a year when it was about to end, and actually won to the end. Adisha, sign up and seal my strong aura into this communication content. Jia Yan said to Adisha. Okay. Adisha filled in Jia Yan's registration information, and then waited for the other party's reply. At the same time, in this huge space, in the area of fake stars, there is an area inside the Starry Sky game. Haha, the idea of this game is simply great. Many people like this novel feeling. Some people are even immersed in the joy of creating civilization and new life and cannot extricate themselves. We have made a lot of money. It's just a waste of money. Who says it's not the case? We make money quickly, and they also get happiness. Everyone gets what they need. I hope there won't be any galaxy-level powerhouses coming here to seize our interests. Presumably galaxy-level beings won't be interested in such a small benefit. Let me tell you, the galaxy-level powerhouses won't take a fancy to this benefit. Maybe they still want to come and have fun. Who will come to play? Galaxy-level powerhouses. They are all people who have seen through the essence of things. Every one of them wants to practice every day. How can they have time to play this game? And once they play, they will probably play a few games. 10 years, how can we possibly have this little time? Hey, there's information. Oh my god. Around this fake star, there are several star-level beings gathering together for a happy party. Each one of them was jeweled and obviously made a lot of money. But they are just afraid that the novel game method they have come up with will be targeted by a certain galaxy-level being. For a galaxy-level being, this amount of money is naturally not much, but it is possible for people to just turn this benefit into part of their own interests. After all, no one has ever said that the operation of this game requires the owner of the power to personally take charge. When a galaxy-level being comes and asks them to hand over all their interests, and then let them have several star-level beings to be the operators of this starry sky, they will have no place to cry. They were all wondering if they should find a galaxy-level being to take the initiative to hug someone else's lap, so that other galaxy-level beings would be intimidated and would not dare to take action against them. It's a pity that this idea has not been realized. Under today's circumstances, these star-level beings have received information about the registration of a galaxy-level being, or even an intermediate-level galaxy being, in a registration letter. What should I do? There is actually a galaxy-level being here to sign up. Who just said that there are no galaxy-level beings who would like us? Now there is actually a galaxy-level being here to play. Who said that this person is interested in me and says that he is not really just here to play? And I just said that there are no galaxy-level beings to play such childish games. It's you. You actually accuse me. If that galaxy-level adult comes later, if you ask us about something, I will report it to him and say that you insulted the galaxy class. This is simply unreasonable. Regardless, let's see what this adult wants to do. Give him permission, but if you want to experience the feeling of the game, let's not grant any privileges and let him act normally. I hope he won't cause trouble. Several star-level beings were almost on the verge of crying. They knew that a galaxy-level being would never come to play some weak game for no reason, because in their lives, they wanted to destroy any civilization. Instead of just running away and killing it casually, do you still want to find this feeling from the game? But they can't act according to orders. The galaxy-level beings have taken a fancy to your game, so it's considered a reward. If they don't have the shame, then they are doomed. It may be a disaster for trusting fate. At this moment, in the outer star field, these few people are definitely the star level that can move the wind and rain, but in this starry sky, they are almost helpless. In this starry sky near the central area of the Milky Way, they are considered weak, because in any starry sky, or in a force, the absolute mainstay is the galaxy level, or even the galaxy mid-level, and it is possible to be a small or medium-sized force. Owner. The masters of large forces are all domain lord creatures. It is even possible that there are one or two giant forces that have high-level beings from the galaxy as their masters. Of course, high-level galactic beings usually practice in the central area of the Milky Way, or even close to the giant black hole in the center of the galaxy. No one knows. No one knows how many high-level galactic beings are still alive. Above the high levels of the galaxy, are there more terrifying creatures at the top of the galaxy? Anyway, these star-level beings were frightened by the sudden arrival of this mid-level galaxy creature and the letter of his information and aura. Sir, we passed the review. The creator of this game didn't even ask for our registration fee, ha ha ha. It didn't take long for Edisha to hear back from the game makers. At the same time, they also get an identity to enter the game. The area where the Edisha is located automatically becomes the starting point of this starry sky. However, they restrict that the Edisha itself cannot join the battle, and the game players themselves cannot use their own strength to join the battle, otherwise it is regarded as violating the rules of the game and will result in exit from the game. Of course, if Jia Yan really used his own strength to join the game, no one would say anything. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1927. It takes a genius to remember the address of this website in 1 second, fastest update. No ads? But Jia Yan didn't want to disrupt the balance of the game too much. Hurry up, according to the rules of the game, the first batch of game supplies will be delivered soon. Edisha, since we are playing a game, you can use half of these supplies to increase the player supplies in this game. Follow the game, don't waste it. Just give me the other half, haha, the energy of this first time supply is really not low. Jia Yan was in normal space and saw a material ship flying in the distance soon. Approaching the starry sky, he had to admire the design of this little game. The person who designed this kind of game is simply a genius, and his business acumen is endless. Okay, master, I will definitely play the game well. Well, you must be here to play this game. You can use your own calculations to play. Although it may be a bit suspected of cheating at this point, they have nothing to say. After all, we appear directly in the starry sky. We didn't enter through the main entrance, there was some cheating, and they couldn't do anything to us. Jia Yan smiled slightly. Jia Yan and the others came directly from the subspace. Unlike other players, they went through numerous inspections before passing the requirements and joining the game. However, Jia Yan and the others are different. They came directly from the subspace. And the main person who plays the game is not the normal biological brain like other players, but the intelligent brain of Edisha. This can be said to be cheating. But Jia Yan himself didn't admit it, and no one dared to say anything. What he needs is for Edisha to continuously capture other players' civilizations, and then take the resources and power in the civilization as his own. In this way, it is almost enough to use all the game energy for mutation. Of course, for game operators, such theft of energy and minerals is nothing short of catastrophic. But there is no other way. The one who comes to rob them of their resources is a mid-level galaxy creature. No matter how unwilling they can only have their teeth knocked out and their blood swallowed. But now, Jia Yan doesn't know whether this operator has the support of galaxy-level forces, so for him, he needs to take care of everything step by step, otherwise if another galaxy-level or even territory lord comes out, then really out of luck. After the Edisha ejected several times, it used a lot of energy. This required Jia Yan's initial mutant power to be replenished at least in half. Otherwise, if another incident occurred, the ejection speed would be slow and it would not be able to fly far. Ding, hello player, now you can choose to develop your own power. What kind of name would you like to give your power? Earth civilization. Jin didn't need to signal, Adisha would handle these little things perfectly. Of course, Jia Yan's intentions may not be completely understood, but there is no way. After all, Jia Yan now has to deal with the discomfort and distortion of mutation wholeheartedly. It is a normal way for Aditya to deal with small things. Anyway, this game is just for temporary use, and Jia Yan doesn't care about the trivial matters. The creation is successful. Please set the settings in the initial properties. It is very simple. After all, this game can be played for decades, so there is nothing to set at the beginning because the initial value is very low. And Aditya just set it up casually. Then, the game quickly controlled minerals to fly from the surrounding interstellar matter. Some of these minerals are magical and assemble items on their own. In less than half an hour, an extremely crude spaceship made of interstellar material was floating in the starry sky. Players will not use their real bodies to play the game, but choose to use technological items to control and connect to the spaceships in the game to develop and grow. Otherwise, if they use their real bodies in a war, they may die. This time, Jia Yan did not break such small rules, and even if he wanted to play in his real body, others would not be able to see it. His body alone was much larger than those several hundred meters in size. In a spaceship, once a galaxy-level existence appears, a single brainwave power can destroy countless such spaceships, and it's a crappy game. Now we are starting to generate the first batch of subjects. These subjects may be automatically generated by the brain in the game, or they may be generated by temporary players from the outside. Being willing to accept the influence of outside players will have advantages and disadvantages, so you have to consider it yourself. Game Brain is very similar to Adisha, but it doesn't seem to have the same emotions as Adisha. Of course, this does not mean that it is worse than Adisha, it is just that there are some limitations in the program. It should even be said that this kind of game brain specially designed for games or humanization should be far stronger than Adisha. Damn it, after all, this place is very close to the center of the Milky Way. Countless external technologies and the technology in the center of the Milky Way will flow here a little, so the brain technology should also be extremely strong. And this game naturally does not have only one main player, but can actually accommodate many other ordinary real players. These ordinary players may be players who have installed this game on the internet, and may be far away. They cannot be regarded as the leaders of a force, but need to open a new force and apply to join. In the game, they can not only experience the fun of the game, but also use their gaming abilities to make good money. Wow, a new boss has joined the game. Hurry up, I want to apply for the first batch of subject qualifications. Generally speaking, the first batch of player subjects in a game are the most profitable and have the highest status. I don't want to make money, but I don't have the ability to dominate a force. I still have money, so when I enter, I want to be a hero or a person with a high status in the force, ha ha ha. In short, those who enter this force first will definitely have the most advantage. Although those who reach the end may not be the first batch of people, the advantage is definitely there. A large number of creatures, either online players who are very close to the game's starry sky, or players who are far away from this starry sky and can only be connected to the internet, each one is extremely excited. Each one of them is frantically applying to join this force. As for joining this so-called Earth civilization, whether you can enter or not depends on the judgment of the leader of the force. This may affect the future development of the entire force. It is also extremely necessary for every leader who plays the game. Things that matter. Is the player quota 1000? A lot has been given. It seems that the players who dominate the game this time are extremely confident, or are they just people who don't really love this game that much? A group of creatures suddenly felt a little surprised after seeing that this Earth civilization force actually recruited 1,000 players as members of its own force from the beginning. Because of the spaceship of several hundred meters, only 1,000 players can enter at most at the beginning. The other 2 or 3 creatures should be intelligent brains who help pilot the spaceship, or operate the initial survival equipment, otherwise it would be impossible to operate it. Gotta go down. The joining of 1,000 new players, although they may all have various skills, may also be a huge negative impact on the entire initial process. After all, real creatures are different from the creatures intelligently created by this game. They will compete for power. Thoughts, or should be said, the creatures in the game may also have such thoughts, but they are all to serve the plot, or to deceive ordinary creatures. In fact, even if they really have some behavior of fighting for power, in the end, it is often checked and balanced by the mechanics in the game. But real gamers are different. Their behavior can often easily lead to the downfall of a new force. This is why many dominant players are unwilling to allow too many ordinary players to join from the beginning. Of course, there are not many ordinary players who want to join the game to cause damage. After all, although their purposes are various, their main idea is to have fun with the game. What they are afraid of is being infected by emotions and causing their "I don't want to have a good time. I applied, ha ha ha, I actually applied." It's different for 1,000 places. But this is my luck, because every time a new dominant player joins, ordinary players who apply to be among the first batch of players, at least more than 1 million, which is why the game has entered the middle stage. A player, extremely happy on the internet. Just like him, there are 999 other similar lucky people. These lucky ones will become the first players of the Earth civilization in this game. They will also work together with the first ordinary intelligent creatures to run the original Earth civilization and resist battles from other civilizations or even annihilation wars. Here we go. After all the players were selected, the biological cabins were opened one by one on the dilapidated and simple spaceship, and strange-shaped creatures came out of it. Haha, this time my body is actually of the sports type. Do I choose to be a fighter master? Don't be stupid. In the beginning, everyone is the same. They have to work as coolies for a period of time. Gradually, you can become a combatant. After all, a new force will definitely develop at the beginning. Behind the tall and muscular creature, there was another creature who scoffed at the idea of becoming a fighter pilot. This tall and sturdy creature couldn't help but turn around, and saw behind him a short-looking creature, typically a creature that should develop into wisdom or a clerical job. Of course, this is not absolute. The appearance at the beginning does determine the future development trend. But because everyone has different ideas, at least half of the creatures will choose what they like. In the future civilization war game, there will be a large number of short combatants, or tall commanders, etc. This weird place is also the charm of this game. Humph, you little bastard, I hope you are not programmed by Hineo, otherwise I will kill you if I find out. Anyway, I won't be charged with killing the character set by Hineo. You are stupid, so I can kill you. I feel like a stupid person like you was created by intelligence. The two guys were yelling at each other, while other new players around them, or individuals produced by the brain, were slowly born and were watching these two guys. On this spaceship, using the docking system on the spacecraft, Editha silently observed this scene, but she was a little silent. Because these two guys, it knows, are all caused by the brain, but they still yell at each other, which makes its self-proclaimed intelligence and intelligence feel a bit behind. The intelligent brains in this game feel more advanced than Editha, so no one will think that these two quarreling guys are intelligent brains, and other intelligent brain creatures also have its like his own personality. No wonder, few ordinary players who join this game can recognize which of the surrounding creatures is a brain and which is a real person. In fact, this feeling is quite interesting. After all, this kind of thing is also a kind of fun of the game, or uncertainty. Some players think that the other party is a real person, and then they have a heart-to-heart relationship. And finally tell the truth. When I actually looked for the contact information, I found that the other party did not exist at all. It was just a little trick of Shineo. This makes many creatures feel a little excited. Of course, after more experience, or being deceived more in the game, real players begin to be less involved with reality. Since they are creatures they met in the game, then they should treat this as a real world, a real world. In the real life, many players are so into the game that they will cry miserably even if their friends in the game die. Ha ha ha, I tell you, if you don't hurry up and see the dominant player, he will definitely have to arrange work. A player who seemed to be very generous, laughed out loud, and asked the surrounding players who had not yet awakened or the original players created by the game to come together to meet the master of the spaceship. At this moment, the surrounding creatures finally woke up. However, some people secretly remembered this generous player, feeling that he was an intelligent programmed creature in the game. Otherwise, how could he say things to control the scene and speed up the pace of the game at this juncture? But this is not necessarily true. After all, some ordinary players will say such things. Not long after, everyone saw a creature sitting in the main seat of the spaceship hall. This creature is an extremely wise-looking being. He is not very old, but he has a sense of vicissitudes of life. Hello, I am the founder of this civilization. Since I created this civilization, I hope that everyone will not treat this as a game, because we may work together for several years, or even decades. Even during this time, it will exceed 1/10 of the life of some players, so you can regard this as a real world, and the love and justice here will be precious memories for your life. I've met Lord Master. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1928. It takes a genius to remember the address of this website in 1 second, fastest update. No ads. A group of players, or players created by half-hearted Hineo, began to treat the person sitting on the chairman's seat respectfully and obediently. After all, he is a civilized dominant player. In this game, there is no way to overthrow the dominant player. If he is powerful and rich, then he should be regarded as the mastermind. Of course, it is also possible that other players have completely ignored the master, but this possibility is unlikely, because the intelligent creatures in the game, no matter how stupid the master player is, may even want to kill other players. They will unconditionally support the dominant player. Because the dominant player is the biggest victim. Even ordinary players will pay a little money, but compared to the money paid by the dominant player, it is far behind. Even the operators know that there is no dominant player. They are easy to provoke. If there is any galaxy-level master behind them, they will be in trouble. Therefore, they will not refuse whatever the master player wants to do. So, who is this dominant player? In fact, he is not Jia Yan, but Edisha. Jia Yan didn't have that much energy to play such a game, so he gave the power to Edisha. And Edisha is not an ordinary player. She has an intelligent brain and can perform cheating calculations that ordinary players cannot perform, etc. This must be very unkind to the rules, but Jia Yan is a galaxy-level being. How can anyone dare to be disrespectful to him and question his use of intelligence? To put it bluntly, it is just a game. Presumably even if there is a galaxy-level creature behind the game operator, he should not care about what another galaxy-level creature does. Of course, if this galaxy-level being wants to exploit the resources of this game, that would be a different story. But no one knows about it now. Master, I have already arranged things. Are you going to train hard and replenish your energy, or are you going to play in the game? This, I'm going to get a character to play. This won't consume too much energy on my part, and it will be good for me to master the energy information myself. Okay, Master, I will arrange it for you. After hearing Jia Yan's request, Edisha immediately made arrangements for him. In fact, the number of people in the game is not absolutely constant. If a certain amount of resources are spent, Useful creatures can be produced. This creature may be an intelligent program character born in the game, or it may be waiting in the outside world. For online players, everything needs to be arranged by the dominant player. Edisha spent a certain amount of initial resources to create a player again, and this player, through a certain amount of brainwave power, was controlled by the game's console, and the person controlling it was Jia Yan. Haha, this player's body actually has the appearance of an earthling. Edisha really understands me. Jia Yan controlled his game body and smiled slightly. He felt that this body was somewhat similar to his own clone, but it was different from the clone because the combat effectiveness and control accuracy were much different. Therefore, the combat power of this body is really just that of an ordinary game character. Even if Jia Yan had his own combat experience, it would be difficult for him to fight across levels in this body. The current level of this body is that of a creature that has reached the elementary level of the earth. In other words, even if he uses all his combat experience, he cannot defeat a creature of the elementary level of the sky with this body. Which is completely different from the feeling of the clone. That's good. At least I don't have to distract myself too much. I only need to use a little energy to control this body. It feels good to enjoy the game normally. Jia Yan smiled and nodded slightly. He was going to treat this game experience as an alternative life. After all, for Jia Yan, if he was serious about it, he might as well use the strength of his galaxy-level real body to swallow up all the energy of the civilization in this game in an instant. If you just play it for real, there are restrictions. For example, you are afraid of whether there is a galaxy-level existence among the game operators. That would be more troublesome, and even involving a domain master creature would put Jia Yan in a bit of danger. But if you use a game character to enter a battle, you use too much energy, which affects the control mutation of your real body, and it becomes meaningless. It is better not to use this energy. So, why not just use a little energy and just have fun? Would you like to enjoy the game? It's a good choice. Jia Yan smiled slightly. He hasn't enjoyed a more ordinary life for a long time. Therefore, this game can be regarded as a game that he can enjoy once. Haha, Master, your identity is in line with your requirements. What about your earthly body? Aidisha was the smart one who understood Jia Yan's thoughts very well. She smiled slightly in Jia Yan's ear. Okay, Aidisha, I know you arranged this, and you did a good job. Jia Yan was also amused by Aidisha. How could he not know that this earthly body did not appear by chance at all, but was created specifically for Jia Yan by Aidisha using her powers as a ruler? Aidisha said this just to get Jia Yan to praise herself, and now she got what she wanted, giggling on the sidelines. Okay, now let me see what I can do. Jia Yan smiled slightly and looked at some of the data on his earthly body. Game players can all see their own data. But after Jia Yan looked at the data, he felt that his body's data were average. Whether it is the combat value or the value for civilian development, they are all relatively poor, and can even be said to be extremely poor. We are now going to allocate future combat tasks and positions. Please stand here, and then allocate them according to the positions you want to do. After all, it is just a game, and it does not feel too real, so the majority of players are not strictly disciplined. Everyone lined up loosely, and then filled in their wishes at a filling-in point. But when they had just filled in about half of it, a sturdy guy in the civilian team discovered the game identity of Jia Yan, who was slightly thinner than others. Haha, look, everyone, there is a little doubting here. How do you use this kind of game character? It is too weak. It looks like an underdeveloped creature. The muscles are not reasonable and the brain is not big enough. No matter what you do, it is too weak. It must be very weak. The creature player pointed at Jia Yan with a smile. Oh? Sir, do you think I am weak? Yes, I think you are relatively weak. Whether in civil or military positions, you must be at the bottom of the pile. I think you think that this body is similar to your own race, but the body of this race is in the universe. Although it is relatively common, the difference is still very big. At least you, I feel like a weak one. Other races with similar appearance not only have stronger muscles, but also have better brains. You have everything. No, I feel like you might as well not play the game this time, or are you just a smart brain? The hulking creature chatting with Jia Yan mocked Jia Yan coldly. He even believed that Jia Yan should be a wise brain. Only intelligent creatures would choose such an appearance regardless of their physical condition. Players like them don't care about the appearance in the game and only choose the character they want. Only in this way can they give full play to their greatest advantages. Haha, Your Excellency, don't you think that you have nothing to say about my status? We haven't assigned our respective rights and responsibilities yet. If I become your boss later, don't give up my position in tears. Show mercy. Jia Yan smiled slightly. But with such a smile, he already knew the result in his heart, that is, a Dongsha would definitely assign this creature to his subordinates. Adisha has such a character, Jia Yan knows it very well. Sure enough, when the creature was still sneering at Jia Yan, saying how could a being like Jia Yan be favored by the master and become the captain of a team, Jia Yan actually got the A8 team captain in front of the assigned machine. Position. As for the hulking creature with an extremely ugly face, he got the member of Team 8 sign. I don't believe it, Lord Master, why would you give such a loser the position of captain, and he happens to be my team captain? Isn't this just kidding me? This creature felt a little ashamed. But the creatures around him were all smiling. Even if Lord Dominator saw the scene just now, and then thought of playing tricks on him, it is normal. After all, this is just a game, and even Lord Dominator also comes to the game to relax or experience a new life. So it's understandable to want to cause a little trouble. Okay, come here now. Jia Yan smiled slightly, but the orders from his mouth were extremely serious. The sturdy guy who was a member of the 8th team suddenly walked up to Jia Yan with his head bowed. He didn't know that Jia Yan did not appoint a captain because the master overheard their conversation, but because the captain was the so-called master overlord's master. Very good, you will be my subordinates in the future, and I think that you will be an important component of the entire Earth civilization in the future, even the strongest team. Do you have confidence? Have. A group of subordinates, approximately 50 people, each drank loudly, but there was not much momentum. Originally, this group of players did not have the aura of an army. In addition, when they saw that the captain of their team was actually an unreasonable game character, they suddenly became less confident about the future of their team. How could he possibly have the momentum to answer? It's funny, Captain. He actually chose such a role. I'm depressed. This captain's character doesn't look like he's specialized in combat, nor does he look like he's specialized in command. He doesn't have any sense of ability to play with his brains. Are we in a relatively rubbish team? It's over now. I still wanted to make a large investment in this game, but now that I think about it, I might as well forget it. But we are the first batch of gamers in this new civilization. We can't quit casually, otherwise it won't be our turn if there are any opportunities in the future. Yes, we are lucky enough to be selected as the first player. Let's see, maybe there will be some changes in the future. A group of team members and players, each one is a little depressed. Even the players controlled by the intelligent brain behave like this and seem to have the same thoughts as ordinary players. But everyone knows that among the 50 team members, at least half of them are not real players, so their attitude towards the teammates around them is a bit cold. Because no one knows whether the person next to you is fake. If you are really emotionally invested in the future, it will be very uncomfortable to find that your best teammate is just a virtual character after the game is over. Of course, at this time, No one of them thought that the future would be so smooth and they would have any interaction with players controlled by the brain. Even most of their teammates were considering whether to become a Lone Ranger. If you don't have to invest your emotions, you won't have too much trouble in the future. Hello, Captain, I am a person who worships the strong. You were chosen by the Master to become the captain of our team. I think you are lucky, but I still want to see your strength and your skills, no matter what, whether it's combat, brains, or command. If there is anything you are stronger than me, then I will no longer question your ability. The hulking creature, after Jia Yan summoned everyone, suddenly stood up and yelled at Jia Yan so directly. Oh? Do you want to see my abilities? Jia Yan smiled slightly. It can be seen that this sturdy creature is very dissatisfied with himself. Jia Yan felt that he was not targeting him or anything, but he actually turned around and felt dissatisfied with himself. He was also helpless. In fact, he also knew what the problem was. Edisha prepared a body for Jia Yan that was almost similar to that of an earthling. However, the strength of the body was adjusted to the same elementary level as any creature present. However, he had not thought about the earthling's body. There is still a certain gap between the level of civilization and evolution and the truly powerful civilized creatures. In the eyes of these relatively highly evolved creatures, they are like incomplete bodies that have not been completely evolved, and are not worth mentioning at all. In other words, although Jia Yan only saw such a creature disobeying him, maybe in fact, all the members behind him were looking down on or despising him. No one would like such a weak captain, and perhaps his orders would fall on deaf ears. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1929. It takes a genius to remember the address of this website in 1 second, fastest update. No ads? After all, it's just a game. Who wants to be as strict as military control? It doesn't threaten your real life. Players are just players no matter what. Especially in the initial stage, when they paid almost nothing, they didn't care whether they would lose this opportunity to play the game. When they played for a while in the future, they paid more, and the game became a real part of life, they began to worry about gains and losses. Naturally, this is exactly the same mentality as the children on Earth who are addicted to playing games. Oh, don't you think of me? Jia Yan transformed into a creature that looked like an earthling and silently looked around at the surrounding creatures. Seeing every living creature, they didn't take him seriously at all. There were even a few who, like that strong individual, simply scorned him. Jia Yan immediately knew their attitude. Very good, so besides you, is there anyone else who is dissatisfied with me? Now I will give you a chance to stand up. No matter what the competition is, if I lose too much to you, then I will give up the position of captain. Oh? Really? That strong creature looked like a tiger, but it wasn't exactly the same, it was just very similar in ferociousness. At this time, he heard Jia Yan's promise, and his eyes suddenly shone. After all, he didn't want the boss above him to be a creature he had ridiculed. In this way, he would definitely suffer losses when arranging tasks in the future. After all, it is impossible for someone to give a good task to a subordinate who has excluded him. So no matter who comes on stage after the thin creature in front of him steps down, it will be much better than this thin creature being the captain. Yes, what do you want to challenge me for? Jia Yan didn't even ask him if he wanted to challenge. Judging from the opponent's attitude, he knew that he must have decided to challenge. I want to challenge you to fight. After all, every captain, in addition to having good command skills, is also indispensable for fighting. Don't tell me that you are too weak now to accept my challenge. This strong creature was sarcastic towards Jia Yan, just trying to provoke him to make Jia Yan accept his challenge. Even he felt that the captain who dared to accept the challenge of all living things should be a capable being, but the body he had this time was too weak. He thought that even if the captain was so weak, his true body is a venerable level creature, and he may not be able to defeat himself at the same level with such a weak body. There is no way. The physical quality of the people on Earth is simply synonymous with weakness and incomplete evolution in the central region of the galaxy that has developed for countless years. Okay, I accept your challenge. Jia Yan responded with a smile. If someone challenges him to command or something, Jia Yan feels that he has to spend a little more energy, but if it is a battle, then it is simple. No matter how weak this body is, the player characters in the game are all at the initial Earth level, so even if they have poor physiques and are weak in all aspects of their bodies, they are of the same level, have bodies of the same level, and are a galaxy-level being. How could it possibly lose to other creatures? Unless the opponent is also a galaxy-level being, Jia Yan doesn't think that a galaxy-level being will play a civilized game without any purpose like him. Start. Not long after, I heard that someone in the team here challenged the captain, so amidst a crowd of people from other teams coming to watch, the two creatures launched an attack and defense. The two creatures sound like they have a huge difference in strength, but on the surface, their actual strength in terms of size and brainwave power is still the same. So around this scene, every creature is somewhat interested and waiting to see who of these two creatures will win in the end. There are even some creatures who are secretly watching their captains. After all, they are all players. If they want to gain a good status, they want to ensure the opportunity to get the benefits of the game in the future. If the challenge here is successful, then they will also try maybe he could challenge his captain. Originally, this kind of loose game had no serious consequences. If it didn't work, it would just be quitting the game. Could there be anyone who couldn't find them in reality? Boom! Jia Yan and the opponent's strong creature rushed towards each other and jumped together instantly. To be honest, the external fighting power of elementary Earth-level creatures is not much different from the so-called martial arts masters on Earth. They may be a little more powerful, but they are far less powerful than those who destroy the world and destroy the world. Level. Therefore, after Jia Yan and the strong creature attacked each other for the first time, the fighting feeling between the two was very exciting. At least it hits the flesh. Oh! When Jia Yan was fighting, Wei Wei was a little surprised. It's not that he was surprised that the opponent's fighting strength was strong. At his level, there was nothing shocking about the strength of a mere prefecture-level junior. But it was because he felt that he seemed to have forgotten a little about the way he fought at the Earth level. Even just now, he wanted to use the power of brain waves, only to find that the power of brain waves cannot leave the body. Because Jia Yan entered the game through a game, he could not control his body freely like he controlled his clone. He still needed to understand the rules and limitations of the game in order to use it. I had forgotten that elementary Earth-level creatures cannot fight without the power of brainwaves. Haha, it's just too long ago. Since I can't leave my body, I will use my brainwave power to cover the surface of my body. Didn't you say that my physical fitness is not good enough? Then I will fight you head-on. Jia Yan instantly used the pitiful little brainwave power of the Earth-level elementary level to control the surface of the body. It felt like the Earth-level brainwave power added a thin layer of protective shield to the surface of the body. Don't underestimate this mere protective shield. It is infused with brainwave power and has amazing defensive power. Moreover, Jia Yan is a galaxy-level creature, and his proficiency in using brainwave power is unmatched by other creatures. Ever since, the moment the two came into contact, Jia Yan's brainwave power suddenly exploded. The extremely controlled explosion can make the brainwave power explode in disguised form, which is about 3 times more than the original power. This 3 times the strength is the decisive strength gap. Puff. The strong creature seemed to have hit a big mountain in an instant, spurting out a ball of blood and flying backwards. Boom. After hitting the spacecraft frame on one side, the entire spacecraft seemed to shake. Oh my god, so powerful. One blow, is this still the same level? The creatures on one side were all stunned. But a few creatures became a little solemn. No other creature could understand what happened this time. But there are some who can understand, and that is them, this group of creatures. Their physical strength is at least high level at the heaven level. Don't think that in this starry sky, the powerful people at the high level of heaven are infinitely weak. In fact, even high-level heaven-level people who are close to the central area of the Milky Way are considered to be pretty powerful people in society. After all, if they take another step forward, they are all venerable level creatures. Such existences, placed in daily life, just like the strong man in the street, he is no longer weak. And of course they have vision. With this kind of brainwave power control ability, the captain's identity is at least a venerable, and possibly even a semi-star level existence. The slightly more powerful creatures in this group were solemn. Generally speaking, among the players who play this kind of game, there will rarely be relatively powerful beings, but it is not impossible. It is not big news that a venerable creature plays such a game of life and even makes money from the game. As for half-star beings playing this kind of game to make money, it is almost impossible, but it is quite possible to experience life. Don't mess with this captain in the future, because in reality, he is stronger than us. These few creatures do not compete for the position of captain, nor do they want to show off. They come to this game just to experience life. Their strength has reached the heaven level and above, which means that in reality, they do not need to make money with game income, so it is best to avoid any trouble with this suspected venerable level creature. In a society of strong people, even if they are playing games, generally speaking, most people will not continue to provoke the other party if they know the strong status of the other party, because if there is a possibility that the address is exposed by the game party, it will be over. Now that I have won, you can admit that I am the captain. Jia Yan knocked away the strong creature with one punch and sneered. I admit it, please don't remember the villain's fault. The strong creature sighed with a wry smile and finally gave in. Although he didn't see the strength of the captain who punched him away, he also knew that the captain's physical strength definitely exceeded his own, and the intimidation of that punch alone was not his own. Earth-level high-level ones can be used. It's better not to provoke the strong ones, they must come to the game to experience the real fun of the game. Very good, others can challenge me. Does anyone still question my strength as captain? Jia Yan looked at the group of members of his team around him. Silence fell. Just now, before the strong creature challenged Jia Yan, there were still a few of them who were ready to make a move, but after Jia Yan showed that he was probably a strong man, no one said anything anymore. In this universe, offending a strong person is the most terrifying thing, even in games. There is no lack of it everywhere in the universe. It is said that a weak person with a bad mouth started talking to a strong person on the internet. It was fun to scold him, but the strong man came to kill him. So after knowing clearly that this captain is a terrifying strong man, which one of these team members dares to challenge again? Even if some of them were good at commanding and thought that they could defeat Jia Yan in a challenge, they still didn't know how and didn't dare to challenge him. The strong is the strong, and the majesty of the strong cannot be challenged. Very good. Since no one challenges me, I, as captain, have done my job justifiably. In addition, please don't blame me too much for the body I chose. This is the body I chose when I was wandering in the universe. The race I have seen is not very powerful individually, or even as a whole race, but they have a unique spirit. Maybe they will gain a high status in the galaxy in the near future, so don't be petty. You are discriminating against this race, do you understand? Understood. When Jia Yan asked everyone not to discriminate against the Earth's race, a group of creatures, even though they were still extremely disdainful in their hearts, still agreed. If they don't talk about this kind of thing, they have nothing to lose. What's more, they have nothing to correct the opponent on what kind of initial creature they want to choose, because this is just a game at best. Besides, the upgrading or strengthening of the game characters can also be done step by step, slowly reaching a high level. Slowly, the initial defects will become less huge. They are not so stupid if they offend a possible strong person by speaking out. Okay, the rest of the teams, you've had enough of watching the show. I feel that danger is approaching. You'd better return to your posts and prepare for the next battle. Jia Yan suddenly said this to the other teams around him. Find bookstore. Ah. Is there any danger approaching? How is it possible? According to the system's regulations, our nascent civilization only has a 1-month protection period. Why is it in danger now? What is impossible? This game is not a game running in the brain, but takes place in a real starry sky. In a normal starry sky, it is not surprising that anything happens. Now there are enemies who take advantage of us just after we were born. It's not unusual for them to attack us. Yes, it has not happened before. A newly born civilization was wiped out by the enemy. We must be careful. No, this is something I worked hard for. The initial opportunity to be a member of the civilization was gone in an instant. I will not accept it. Then go to work quickly. We will definitely not be able to defeat him. We have to escape. Almost immediately after Jia Yan said his words, the whole hall was in chaos. In less than 10 seconds, the alarm in the spacecraft started to sound. It turned out that an enemy warship was flying over 5,000 kilometers away. There are many civilizations in the starry sky in this game, but the starry sky is extremely vast. Even if the operator of this game only managed to obtain a starry sky similar to the size of the solar system, you must know that it is definitely 1 or 2 light years across. Judging from the size of the battleships in the game and the size of the characters in the game, these 2 light years are enough for countless civilizations to be born and fight here. But this time, by coincidence, the Earth civilization that was born appeared next to a civilization that was not too weak. They had been developing for several months. When they saw this new civilization, they naturally came to attack it directly. There will be other developments in the civilization game in the future, and we won't waste too much space, so please just sit back and relax, thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1930. It takes a genius to remember the address of this website in 1 second, fastest update. No ads. Earth civilization is too weak and must escape. Escape, escape. Our spaceship is no weaker than the others. We only need to turn around and we can escape quickly. We can't escape. Our strength is still weak compared to the other side's strength. However, if we just run away, can our spaceship escape? Looking at the fuel, it seems that there is not much left. If we escape at a super fast speed, most of the fuel will be wasted during the acceleration time. According to me, it's better to let one team block the opponent, wait until the spacecraft has the right to speed up, and then the blocking team will return, and we can escape together. Block. Who is willing to block, because the character who blocks is going to die. It's hard to become a member of an initial civilization, and we don't want to die from the beginning. What should we do? If no one wants to send this person to death, then everyone will die together. All the players are wandering and panicking. They don't want to be killed by the enemy's civilization spacecraft just after starting the game. The gap in combat power between the two sides is definitely huge. After the spaceship here has created a large number of biological players, it has no energy. If the enemy is a civilization that has appeared in the game for more than half a year, then their warships must have a little. If this side is unable to counterattack, it will definitely be beaten to a pulp in an instant. Lord Master, our spaceship still has a little energy. Build me a one-man battleship and I will slow down the opponent. Suddenly, a loud sound resounded throughout the spaceship area. Everyone was silent for a moment, and then everyone turned to look. The one who spoke was the extremely thin man who looked like an earthling. It was Jia Yan. Ah! You actually want to be able to block so many enemies by yourself? It's just wishful thinking. It's impossible. It's like trying to stop a star from exploding. Even the galaxy level can't do it. A group of player creatures were not as frightened as losing their lives. They were just depressed because they might lose their chance to play the game, but they were still in the mood to chat. Oh, whether it's just wishful thinking or not, you'll have to wait until I fight to find out. Now it's up to the Lord Master to decide. Jia Yan glanced lightly at all the creatures around him. For him, he cannot put enough energy into this creature. The feeling of this game is just a casual formality. Therefore, whether he can withstand the attack of a civilization with the number of battleships, there is no certainty, not to mention that it will be nothing if the body dies. As for whether the Lord Master will agree to his request, there is no need to think about it. After all, the ruler is Adisha. Lord Master will definitely not agree. Even if it doesn't take too much energy to build a battleship, our newborn spaceships don't have much energy. If we build one for you, our chances of escaping will be even lower. On the side, a captain-like being said coldly. He was also the one who disagreed with building a battleship for Jia Yan. And what makes him different from other captains is that this creature feels like an extremely vengeful existence. Xiaji Azakai. You can't represent the master, so don't say anything. We are both captains, and you can't control me. The other party is cold, and Jia Yan is even colder. You. The other party's eyes flashed with a fierce glare. Through this brilliant light, Jia Yan was a little surprised. This so-called captain was actually a venerable level creature, which was considered to be quite powerful. But what does the venerable mean? Maybe the other party became competitive with Jia Yan because he saw that Jia Yan's true form was probably a good strong man, but in fact, if his true form saw Jia Yan's true form, he would be instantly defeated. Scared to the point of peeing. The venerable level and the galaxy level are two absolutely opposite existences. A single look can shock the venerable level to death. When the quarrel between the two captains gradually grew bigger and was about to turn into a conflict, a very majestic voice sounded. No need to argue, I have made a decision to let Captain Jia Yan play. Well. The voice of the ruler was naturally made by Edisha. When she said this, the captain creature was immediately speechless. Haha, okay, I will not let down the Lord Master's entrustment, and I will definitely complete the task perfectly. Jia Yan smiled slightly, then controlled his body and walked towards an area of the spacecraft where items were produced. This newborn spaceship feels like a living creature. Every area is new and has the feeling of a wriggling creature. This is indeed the case. The spaceships in this kind of game are generally composed of various minerals. In order to reduce costs and to be able to be used repeatedly, in fact, the entire spacecraft, and even most of the items, are almost entirely composed of some kind of living things. Walking to a place like a pool where objects were transformed, the master controlled by Aditha opened the transparent lid of the pool in front of her. I saw a battleship with liquid hanging inside docked inside. Or it shouldn't be said to be a battleship, but a battleship, a very small battleship. The length is only more than 10 meters, the height is not high, and it is flat. If you insist on pulling it, it will look like a fighter jet on the Earth, with a streamlined shape. Just use this so-called battleship to fight? It's definitely useless. It's a waste of energy. Haha, since Captain Jia Yan is so confident, let's wait and see. A group of creatures followed behind, all watching indifferently. Especially the one who was going tit for tat with Jia Yan started laughing, as if Jia Yan was going to fail. He didn't speak either, because if Jia Yan went into battle, he would definitely die, and there would be no more of him in this game career in the future. Why bother to let other creatures look down on him for the sake of a being that is bound to disappear? Did you know that he was a small-minded being? Jia Yan said nothing, nodded to the master controlled by Edisha, and jumped into the so-called battleship. It's very simple. It doesn't have as many complicated instruments or buttons as Earth fighter planes. There are only joysticks. After all, it's something created by interstellar technology, and it's just a game. With this level of simulation, I'm proud enough. Jia Yan looked at the instruments and the like and easily mastered the operation method. He started the machine. In front of the battleship, a bridge-like object instantly appeared. Jia Yan operated the battleship and moved forward. The passage behind him was instantly closed. Dead. Before leaving, Jia Yan heard the captain continuing to sneer inside the spacecraft. Jia Yan was not excited or angry about these words. As mentioned before, the gap between the two sides was so big that Jia Yan felt like he was just an ant shouting at him. As a strong man, there was nothing he could do no matter what. Maybe he would kill an ant or get angry at an ant. After walking forward in the passage for a while, another passage opened ahead. And outside this passage is the starry sky of the universe. Driving this small battleship machine, Jia Yan seemed to have truly become a battleship pilot in a space battle. It can be considered a bit of an addiction. Haha, I have never experienced such a battle before. Jia Yan smiled slightly, but he did not put more of his energy into this body. Playing was just playing, not letting him lose his mind by playing with things. Puff. The battleship ejected a ball of flame and accelerated in the universe. And 1,000 kilometers away, a huge civilization spaceship has already arrived in front of us. Huh? There is still energy in the nascent civilization spaceship. Can it spit out the spaceship to join the battle? In the civilized spaceship behind there are commanders and masters, totaling 10 to 20,000 creatures. They were all surprised that the ship they and others were chasing looked like it was a nascent civilization, but it actually had the energy to send out harassing warships. With all this energy, it would be better to use more energy to push the engine faster and increase the chance of escape. Forget it, maybe the opponent's dominant player is also a wealthy businessman who has just joined the game. He doesn't know anything about space warfare. Now we send 3 identical battleships to fight with this battleship. In addition, send 50 more warships to capture the opponent's lair. Even if this warship has good combat effectiveness, there will only be one at best. When we destroy his lair, this warship will definitely be the only one facing all our warships. Can be blown up. Haha, what are you talking about? Such a battleship, let alone supporting other battleships to siege it, even the 3 battleships entangled with it will definitely blow it up. The group of creatures here didn't have the slightest worry about the battleship flying out alone. In fact, they also belong to a new civilization that was just founded. In a few months, they devoured a certain amount of interstellar energy and created more creatures, plus more battleships and the like. Although compared to this the combat power on the other side is much stronger, but it is still in its infancy. There are more than 50 small warships here that can compete with the one warship built by the opponent. 50 to 1 ship, even a fool can see how big the gap between the two sides is. Haha, come on, pilots of those 3 battleships, the first battle after the birth is up to you. If you successfully destroy the opponent, then you will have made a great contribution and you will be rewarded when you come back. The master of the spaceship smiled relaxedly at the 3 creatures behind him who volunteered to deal with Jia Yan first. I will definitely live up to the trust of the Lord Master. In reality, I am a military pilot in a certain civilization. How can ordinary people defeat me? The captain of the trio said confidently to the master. Yes, although the 2 of us are not real-life pilots, we have played too many games and have good practical experience. This time we will definitely be able to capture it and fight a beautiful first battle of our civilization. The other driver was also confident. The three of them left quickly and then boarded the spaceship, which was similar to the battleship Jia Yan was riding in just now. They rushed out of the passage like flying, and then appeared in the starry sky of the universe. Okay, our first batch of warriors have already gone into battle. Next, everyone should take action. Your first batch of battleship pilots are the best among our more than 10,000 people. We are all waiting for you. Triumph. Just wait, we will definitely kill the enemy. Following the words of the master, the 50 people in the spaceship here responded again, and not long after the three pilots left, they also boarded their own battleships. Around the entire spaceship, Shun was like dumplings, spitting out a large number of colorful battleships. Oh, the other party is coming. From a distance, Jia Yan piloted a small battleship and saw the jet of fire in the distance. Because he doesn't want to use his real body's senses, and there is no need to use them, Jia Yan now feels that he is not cheating, and that he has not used any of his galaxy-level senses and brainwave power to fight against the opponent. Otherwise, if a brainwave power passes by, all these city-level creatures will die instantly. After all, the distance between the two sides is only 1,000 kilometers now. If he appeared here with his body mutated, he would be able to almost right in front of him. Of course, Jia Yan didn't think this was a real incident, so he didn't need to use his brainwave power, and he didn't want to cause his own body to have the tragic result of mutation failure. Just for fun. It's coming, and there's more than one, three. From a distance, Jia Yan looked at his battleship instrument, which showed that there were 3 opponents' battleships in total. But not long after, he saw a large number of battleships spit out from inside the spaceship. He immediately knew that there were 53 battleships spit out this time. 3 ships were used to deal with him, and the other 50 ships were using their maneuverability to quickly pursue the main spaceship of Earth civilization. If they catch up, the Earth civilization's spaceship will definitely be in danger. Even if our game is over this time, my plan to steal energy will be stillborn. That's not okay. Jia Yan frowned slightly. I saw Jia Yan controlling his spaceship, suddenly turning around and chasing the 50 warships. Oh. He actually wants to chase the 50 friendly ships. Does he want to benefit the base camp with his own sacrifice? It is simply unreasonable. This is not a real battle. The 3 warships were originally attacking Jia Yan, but they saw that Jia Yan did not fight with them at all, but turned around and flew towards the direction of the 50 warships. They immediately understood the opponent's intention. Of course, they may not have understood one thing, that is, Jia Yan did not sacrifice himself in exchange for escaping from the base camp. He did not even think that he would die. Even if they control the same battleship, the operator's reaction ability, etc. will also be reflected in the control. During the flight, Jia Yan controlled the battleship slightly and made some unexpected moves. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1931. It takes a genius to remember the address of this website in 1 second, fastest update. No ads? Well, at this tilt angle, when flying extremely fast, there will be a certain amount of vibration. You can't fly like this many times. And this, the feeling of turning is very good, and the endurance of the body is definitely enough, so I can use such turning movements more often. Jia Yan quickly mastered almost all the functions of this machine. He even made some special moves that the developer himself might not have thought of. Of course, it doesn't matter if you do it, the point is to sum up the practical significance of these actions in an instant. The battleship ahead is doing quite well. That's nothing, they're just doing stunts at most. There are a lot of people in our army who can do this, but they should still have some strength. It can be seen that the other party's civilization sent a worthy person at the most important moment. A trustworthy manipulator. Why is it so strong? Even if it's really good, it's better than one of us, or even better than two of us. Is it possible that it's better than so many battleships? It's simply impossible. The group of biological players who were chasing after them were all smiling, thinking that this first civilized battle would definitely be the end of their victory. How could this birthplace of civilization be so close? In fact, when a Dominator player first comes to this game, they can choose the place where they are born. Even if the game rules do not allow them to see the wide field of view around them, they can put the place of birth in an almost barren place. There is certainly no other civilization. But this Earth civilization was created by Jiayan and Edisha. How could they choose to be so conservative? According to Jiayan, it means being quick. How many years can you really play this game? He doesn't have that much time. Boom. In the starry sky, Jiayan chased the 50 warships. Behind him, the 3 battleships were chasing him. Among the 50 battleships ahead, every player felt incredible, but they did not pay attention to Jiayan, a death squad like him. Everyone is quickly chasing the enemy civilization spacecraft ahead. If they catch up and destroy this huge spaceship, then they will have accomplished a huge feat. Separate 5 battleships to stop him, so that this guy won't be annoying behind his back. Ken. Among the 50 warships here, 5 warships flew out from behind and launched a return attack on Jiayan. These 5 battleships are all either for weak players according to the game design, or they are truly weak players. In short, none of the 5 battleships are powerful, otherwise they would not fly at the back. Oh, 5 ships actually flew in. They think highly of me. Jiayan naturally knew what the enemy was thinking, and being able to separate 5 warships to attack one such as his was considered a respectable thing for him, not to mention that the 2 sides had never come into contact with each other even once. If the 5 ships delay a little, the 3 ships behind them will catch up. They are battleships controlled by relatively powerful experts. With 8 ships working together, even if Jiayan's battleship is piloted by a very powerful battleship pilot, there is absolutely no reason to be spared. Who? But he still didn't see the slightest hint of fear. Driving the battleship, he flew suddenly in the direction of 50 battleships. Damn it, isn't he even afraid? You must be underestimating our 5 battleships flying behind you, bastard. Although I was not born in a regular army, I am also someone who has played many games. Ordinary battleship battles are not difficult for me. Among the 5 small battleships, a voice snorted coldly. He faced the enemy's lone battleship and suddenly flew closer. The 2 sides were within 20 kilometers at once. At this distance, even for a small warship, it is relatively easy to fire. How? Suddenly, 2 of the 5 warships couldn't bear it anymore and opened fire. Idiots, don't fire yet. 20 kilometers is not the best distance for such a small warship to fire. Among the 5 battleships, the one who spoke just now suddenly made a gloomy accusation. TCH, do you really think that just because you have played a lot of games, you have to listen to everything you say? What's wrong with us loving to open fire? The game is the game. Among the 2 players who fired, one of them didn't accept the advice at all and completely refuted it. You guys, listen to me. It's best to fire from a distance of about 10 kilometers. It's easy to hit at such a distance. Okay, I listen to you. I'm going to fire from 20 kilometers away. What can you do to me? Why should we listen to you? You are not a captain or a senior executive. The 5 battleship control combatants were already quarreling even before the fight started. On the other end, Jiayan calmly dodged 2 super long-distance rays. Well, are the players in the game really that weak? Look over there, the people in the 5 battleships seem to be arguing. It seems that I think highly of them. Jiayan was startled. He never thought that there would be such a weak battle. But think about it, after all, it is just a game. Many players are not serious combatants. They have never experienced a day of combat training, so how can they have any military literacy? Haha, it can be seen that this group of people also has good experts. Unfortunately, in this mixed situation, people with military literacy and people without military literacy completely aggravate the chaotic situation. Jia Yan is no longer afraid. Moreover, he has galaxy-level reflexes and combat experience. Although his combat experience is not outstanding among galaxy-level existences, it should even be said to be small, but compared to a group of weak players, it is simply superb. For certain attacks, as soon as the battleship is in position but has not yet launched, Jia Yan not only guesses that the opponent is going to launch, but he even determines whether the shot will hit him. So he was very calm. Boo-hoo-hoo. Not only the front, but also the three warships chasing after him from behind also opened fire. These three people are amazing. Jia Yan didn't care about the attacks in front. The three enemy ray attacks behind him made him feel like he might be hit. He controlled the battleship and retreated to the side. Although the battleship looks bulky, and in Jia Yan's opinion, it is indeed bulky, but to other creatures, at this moment, this battleship made of the same material as them has actually undergone extremely mysterious changes. The movement trajectory is like that of a combat master using footwork, rising and falling. It seems chaotic, but in fact, it avoids all attacks. How is it possible? Isn't this something that only the most powerful pilots in the military can use? This guy is actually an ace pilot. In other words, he is a strong man stronger than the venerable level. No. It is impossible for a strong man to come here to play this kind of game. After all, there are so few strong people and they usually have so many things to do, so playing games is impossible. Then this guy is actually an ace pilot. Among the pursuers, one of the pursuers of the three battleships behind him was quite capable. When he saw the battleship in front of him escaping in a way that made him dazzled, his heart was slightly shaken. He himself is a noble level creature, and knowing this kind of operation is not just as simple as an ace. Without the corresponding reflexes, eyesight, and subtle confidence in the operation, it is impossible to perform this operation. In other words, the creatures in front of him are at least the same level as him. It's scary. This guy is at least as strong as me. This powerful battleship pilot had a cold expression. No matter how strong he is, among so many of our battleships, he will definitely be beaten into a sieve, and if this kind of existence is allowed to grow up, in this game, he will be one of the powerful enemies in the future, and we must kill him now while he is still weak. This venerable level creature was fully prepared to kill the enemy in the game in front of him. As for being approached by the other party, in reality, he is not afraid. Even if the existence in front of him is a half star, or even a star, it is difficult to do such a thing that violates the law, not to mention game operators are not vegetarians either. If this guy is a galaxy level, didn't he think about the possibility that a galaxy level player would come to play games? Just kidding. The galaxy class is such a great powerhouse. Who would come here to play such a game if they have nothing to do? If they want to play a war to destroy civilization, they can just play it in reality. They can destroy any civilization. This guy needs to be killed now. When their civilization grows and this guy has the resources to become a strong player in the game, then there will be trouble. The venerable man quickly drove his warship and rushed towards Jia Yan like the wind. Hurry! In the starry sky, a large number of battleship rays began to spray before the 45 battleships ahead approached the Earth civilization. The target they faced was the lonely battleship in their encirclement. Here we come, however, their cooperation is full of loopholes. Jia Yan looked around and saw that 8 warships were already approaching. But with this cooperation, to be honest, not even the Earth Alliance's battleship operators would make such low-level mistakes. It can be seen that games are games. In this starry sky, even in highly civilized areas, there are still many creatures who do not know the art of war. The ones here are already within 5 kilometers of me, and the ones far away are wandering 20 kilometers away, as if they want to attack my short-range and long-range combination. But the problem is that each of these warships are the same. There is no distinction between long and medium range. They come up with a combination of long and medium range and just use this kind of warship that can shoot at an optimal distance of 5 kilometers. It's just a joke. Jia Yan even wanted to laugh. He allowed those long-range warships to fight, but they might not be able to hit him accurately even if they fought for a long time. As for the short-range ones, they are a bit interesting. At least the 3 powerful battleships flying over are a bit interesting. But that's it. Jia Yan discovered that he had indeed overestimated the so-called game. To put it bluntly, the people who come to participate in war games are people who have never experienced any war personally and just want to experience it. One can imagine the fighting qualities of these people. The close combat person here should be a soldier. Unfortunately, his movements are standard, but he has no real combat experience. He is just a showman. Get rid of him first. Since those who dare to attack are usually more powerful, Jia Yan discovered that those 3 ships are all strong. The only one who is not strong is a member who looks like the most standard moves, but is actually just a showman. He stared at him, and the battleship followed an arc, quickly bypassing a ray net, and then looked back to counterattack. These rays are not at the speed of light. Rays at the speed of light actually have no attack power. The game does not make rays with such huge combat power, so the speed is very slow. However, after Jia Yan played such a curved trick, everyone was dizzy by him. In short, everyone has been reduced to the elementary level of Earth level. Even the senior level being cannot keep up with Jia Yan's speed. After all, even if they are at the same level, the galaxy level and a venerable are still very different. Even if Jia Yan is physically weaker, the level difference is too big. Can't catch up? Did he fire? It's open. Be careful. Suddenly, a group of creatures were dazzled before their eyes, and an explosion of light suddenly lit up. It's over, that guy died. What's going on? He actually saw that this guy has no actual combat experience. Obviously his movements were the most standard, but the enemy actually saw it. The expressions of the other 2 powerful pilots have really changed. Before, I was just not sure whether the driver in front of me was an ace, but now I was completely sure. This is definitely an ace, and may even be the top character among the ace pilots in a certain star field. In short, the possibility of a strong person is very small, and a strong person will not play this kind of game. Another operator who drove well and had combat experience just shouted these words, and saw a bright light flashing in front of his eyes. He also followed suit, and in an instant, he was also blown up. Own battleship. Buzz. Jia Yan's battleship was like a ghost, instantly circling out from behind their group of battleships. Several rays of light shot from the left and right sides of his body, but none of them could hit his battleship. How can this be? In the battleship driven by the last master, the venerable level being, he was completely stunned. He knew that the strength of the 2 people who had just fought was not inferior to him in terms of skills in controlling battleships, but he did not expect that they would die like this. Now he is the only one left. Looking at the 5 warships around him that were not cooperating at all, this venerable level creature was completely in despair. Hurry up and surround us. No matter how strong this guy is, he can't withstand the encirclement of 6 of us. Hurry up, it's still too late, otherwise it will be over. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1932. It takes a genius to remember the address of this website in 1 second, fastest update. No ads. The noble-level creature knew that the battle situation was not good and quickly called out to all the surrounding battleships. The responses received were varied. "No, I don't know how to fight at close range. I'm not going. If I die, the game will be over. I will drive over and bump into your battleship, please don't scold me." The answers of the 5 people were extremely unified, that is, they would not come, and would rather go far away. If they can't fight later, they can also run away. As for the experienced player, after hesitating for a while, seeing that the big guys didn't move, he stopped talking and hid further away in an instant. He, who has gaming experience, has already felt that the battlefield feels like it is about to collapse. As expected. When the Venerable didn't see anyone coming to help, he was so angry that he wanted to roar. The battleship that was fighting alone with them suddenly made a big circle in front of his eyes. Then, fire a cannon from a distance. Boom! The battleship of this venerable player was blown up by such a simple blast. Until his death, he had no chance to say that he was a venerable level creature. Others, even the dominant creature of their civilization, and venerable level beings like him, did not know that in his civilization game, there is such a powerful venerable level. No one knew that the only warship that had just entered the battle in this nascent civilization of Earth actually killed the warship of a venerable level player. If it were known, this civilization would probably be more alert to the combat effectiveness of this battleship. Unfortunately, nothing happens. The biological player who is currently on the left will lose the ability to communicate with this side after his death. Even if he wants to send some information, it is impossible. At this moment, the entire nearby network can actually see the battle progress in this game. After all, game operators will not miss any opportunity to make money, and many players rely on this game to make money. In addition to making money from the master, it is also important to make money from other people who want to play this game or are interested in this game. That's what Earth Civilization was playing earlier, live broadcast. Many players in the game will start live broadcasting as soon as they get the opportunity to enter the game. While playing the game, they will also live broadcast. Of course, there is a possibility that this will become an intelligence resource. Spies, in short, there is no way to do this in the game. Only the private character of certain players can determine their gaming experience. Wow, the players in this new civilization are very powerful. The pilot of this battleship must be very good. I don't know how good they are in other matters. Don't think it's just that powerful. Look, that master must be powerful too. He escaped in that civilized spaceship, and the route looked carefully designed. Yes, the master and the pilot are both powerful. Does this mean that this Earth civilization is likely to rise? I can't talk about rising. The most I can say is that I can survive this battle. Especially this pilot. If he can survive, there will really be something for him in the future. Many viewers watched this war between nascent civilizations on the internet. These two major civilizations are very elementary civilizations for the entire game. One has just been born, and the other has been born for a few months, which is nothing to say. Of course, if the civilization that is being pursued is a powerful civilization, it will be useless no matter how strong the Earth civilization is. The only option is to start over or give up the game. And the performance of the Earth civilization, no matter how good it is absolutely useless in the face of a powerful civilization. Now, the audience is waiting to see whether the pilot in this civilization can create a miracle. Even if 5 or 6 battleships were killed, it was still not enough. Boom boom. In the starry sky, a dexterous battleship is like a ghost that suddenly appears in the shadow of the starry sky. It often appears in the blind spot of the enemy's sight. As for those enemies, every one of them was silly and cute. It felt like they didn't have many shortcomings when they were flying before, but in front of this pilot, they were full of shortcomings. One by one, the enemies were instantly destroyed by the sudden attack of this battleship. Okay, the 8 ships that first attacked me are all dead. The last enemy warship was suddenly blown up by him again. Jia Yan smiled slightly. This kind of battle is too low level. For Jia Yan, apart from a sense of novelty, it is actually neither tense nor exciting. But it is a game after all, and there is no feeling of killing people. It is a different kind of experience. And I feel that the artistic conception of this game is quite strange. Killing the weak seems to be beneficial to my cultivation, right? Various thoughts flashed through Jia Yan's heart. But these thoughts did not disturb his mutation process, and even the movements of this game body only consumed an extremely rare part of his energy. If it were a real galaxy-level being, even if he used his body in the game to pilot this shabby small battleship at his feet, he would definitely be able to quickly break into the enemy's 50 small battleships and kill 7 in and 7 out. But Jia Yan just didn't use this kind of combat ability, so others couldn't figure out that he was a galaxy-level existence. Without that kind of cheating ability, I still have a gaming experience. Okay, these 8 ships are much easier to kill than I thought. This shows that the game is a game. I was worried just now that I might stop the game here. Now that I think about it, it is completely unfounded. These are players. That's all, it's not even comparable to an ordinary army, but it's quite promising. Jia Yan smiled slightly, and then his expression turned cold in an instant as he transformed into an earthling. He rushed directly into the wreckage ahead. Ah! What? This guy actually destroyed 8 of our battleships by himself. It's impossible. 3 of those 8 battleships are our elite. During the training, there was never any other warship that could fight against those 3 warships. How can it be that these 3 ships have not even fought against this warship together? Among the 45 small warships chasing the Earth civilization spacecraft ahead, there are many warships, all of which are paying close attention to the movements behind them. When they saw that Jia Yan single-handedly destroyed the 8 warships that surrounded him, the 45 warships were completely shaken. You must know that among the 8 battleships, although the next 5 are relatively poor battleship pilots, the first 3 are completely elite. It can even be said that they are the strongest ones recognized by everyone since the development of their civilization. But it is simply unimaginable that so many of the strongest men came to besiege a single battleship of this strange new civilization, only to be directly killed by the opponent's single ship. It can be seen that this person's battleship combat ability is simply unimaginable. Turn back, at least half of us will turn back. If we don't destroy this battleship, we can't attack that civilized battleship with all our heart. Among these 45 battleships, there are quite a few smart people. They know that even if they use the human sea tactics among their 45 battleships, the opponent will definitely die. So they were all shouting to turn around and kill the enemy's only warship. But here, there are some beings who are unwilling to look back. They want to destroy the main spaceship of the civilization that is escaping in front. If the main spaceship is destroyed, this warship will also follow the destruction of the main spaceship and take the initiative. Death, wouldn't this save a lot of energy? But because of this differentiation of ideas, the situation suddenly became a bit difficult to control. You go and kill the spaceship, and we'll go back and kill this battleship. Don't crowd around. Don't bump into each other. It doesn't matter if you bump into yourself. Boom. I saw 2 battleships colliding in the starry sky, followed by a big explosion. Jia Yan followed behind, a little speechless. The combat effectiveness of these guys was worse than he imagined. Is this really a game in which real people participate? He felt like a stupid computer. But precisely because it is a real person, this game has its own charm. These players will definitely not always be so weak. In fact, if these players go through more battle training, slowly, the computers or intelligent characters inside will slowly die and disappear, and in the end they will be more powerful. Its civilization is much more powerful than other civilizations. Some players even joined the army and became ace combatants because they learned a lot of fighting theories or fighting methods in the game. Of course, for the civilization in front of us, which is also a nascent civilization, or even a civilization that is fighting for the first time, there are simply no such powerful players. That's why they are disorganized and collide with each other. Since you are so weak, don't blame me for being ruthless. Jia Yan smiled slightly. Then, the battleship he was driving deliberately entered the blind spot of the shadow of a spaceship facing away from him. When it appeared, it was already close to the spacecraft, and when his attack ray was difficult to reverse the direction. Ah! The opponent screamed, and before he could even react, he was directly blasted by Jia Yan's battleship ray. Be careful, he's catching up. This guy, a battleship, really dares to attack our 45 battleships. There are only 42 ships left now. Be careful. If the enemy destroys us with one against many, we will not be in the mood to play this kind of game in the future. Don't be embarrassed. A group of players were all looking at Jia Yan, who was chasing after him from behind. Those beings controlled by computers are clumsy and perform at the same level as ordinary players. In fact, these have a huge calculation library for calculations. Such computer creatures must be controlled to a level similar to other players. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called a player's game, but a computer game. Therefore, computer creatures are not a threat to Jia Yan at all, but real players with chaotic movements may attack him, so he is very careful. After all, such a rookie can beat a master to death with random punches. Also happens from time to time. Very good, destroy another one. I hide. Jia Yan felt that he had found the fun of this game, happily reaping the lives of players. Puff puff. As his warships approached, or hidden, or turned around, many warships were swept by him and shot. Then, after at least 7 or 8 warships were swept by him, the warship controlled by Jia Yan flew out of the area again and ran to the next starry sky in an instant. The entire group of more than 40 battleships was actually completely killed by one of his battleships. In this scene, not only the 40-odd enemy warships involved were silent, but even the spaceship escaping in front of the Earth civilization was also silent for a moment. Gudu. For a moment, the subordinate team member who had wanted to break up with Jia Yan swallowed his saliva. What kind of strength does our captain have? Why do I feel that he can kill this enemy fleet by himself? It's not what you think, but he really has the strength. Next to him, there was another captain, who was also a little frightened. Find the book garden. He could tell that the one-man battleship fighting there should have extremely strong control capabilities, but he also saw another point, that is, the controller's physical strength must be extremely amazing. Why does such a being come here to play games? When he comes back later, it's better not to have any other relations with this person. I feel that he is a semi-star existence. If such an existence really cares about the players in the game, it may be possible to find him in person. Identity, and then killed. After all, in this universe, the world is still dominated by the strong. If a half-star existence really wants to know the starry sky and address of an ordinary creature through means, money, or power, there is still a chance. Such an exposed ordinary creature would definitely die instantly under the toy of a semi-star powerhouse. So here, everyone is still silent and dare not speak. And this captain is really powerful. One person actually killed more than 40 enemy warships. The ruler just now dared to bet all the treasures on him. It can be seen that both sides should be the same. Known. Maybe the Lord Master is as strong as the other party, that is to say, both parties are creatures whose true identities have reached the semi-star level. At this moment, I thought a lot about the players in Earth civilization, and each one was a little in awe and a little happy. Awe, naturally, because if it is as they expected, then there are 2 extremely powerful men in their civilization. and they are happy because of the existence of this strong man. It is very likely that they will be led by these two strong men to a high status. Look, one person over there can fight a group of battleships of the same level alone. In the future, he will probably be invincible, even invincible. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1933. It takes a genius to remember the address of this website in 1 second, fastest update. No ads? Generally speaking, strong people don't play games, but if you see a strong person playing a game, unless there is a strong person who can match him in the game, otherwise the whole game will be out of balance, and you will definitely become that strong person. The world. There's nothing we can do about it. Who makes people stronger? There's nothing unfair about it. It's like a game on Earth. There's nothing you can do about it if rich people spend money and become cash players. This is hard power. Ah, look, he's back again. You see, we don't have eyes. The captain must be destroying this group of enemy warships. If we are lucky, they may all go directly to the enemy's lair. Is it the enemy's lair? This should be impossible. How can it be so easy to invade the enemy's lair? I'm not sure. Look, the enemy's battleship group actually chose to escape when there were only 20 ships left. This is stupid. There are so many battleships left and the strength to fight is actually running away. It's their luck not to die now. No. You see, the captain did not choose to chase these battleships, but chased the enemy's spaceship. He really wanted to destroy the enemy's civilized spaceship. In the Earth civilization here, a large number of new player creatures are extremely shocked. In fact, not only the online audience, but also both sides of the battle were shocked. Even the operators of this game, which are several stellar beings in this real civilized war, were watching this battle, and then everyone marvel. They themselves are star level, so they understand that even they will have a hard time doing such a thing with a gamer's body and an average body. But the creature that came to fight, controlled the feeling of fighting with its weak body, just like eating and drinking, it was so simple. This is definitely the body that the galaxy-level being is controlling personally. Even in my opinion, it seems that the galaxy level should be able to do better, but I feel that the other party is not playing with all his strength. Yes, some of the details are very important. He probably doesn't value the game that highly, which makes it seem like he's not that strong on the surface. In fact, many details show that the opponent is really strong. We must pay attention to every move of this lord, otherwise if something happens in the future and the lord is unhappy, we will die. Several star-level creatures were extremely shocked, and they finally locked in. The player driving the battleship was the owner of the letter they received earlier, that is, the galaxy-level being who exuded aura-controlled game character. Ever since, this player with an earthling body has been focused on. Boom boom boom. Because there is air in the battleship, there is still a little sound when many battleships explode. The sound of the explosion is transformed into the starry sky, which is the burst of fire, reflecting the entire starry sky. Moreover, the fire of this explosion was not just in one place, but was shining everywhere. The lone battleship that was just about to rush to the enemy's lair actually shot back before the enemy could wait and chased him. Suddenly, the enemy had no time to react, and more than 40 warships were destroyed one by one. People who don't know, would think that the number of battleships on both sides is equal. But in fact, the number of battles between the two sides is actually completely different. On the one hand, there is even a lone army. But coincidentally, such a lone battleship is actually the pursuer who is currently chasing more than 40 battleships. Their identities are completely opposite to that of him being the one who should be pursued. How is it possible? There are already less than 40 ships. Why can he suddenly appear behind us? It is not a problem with the performance of the battleship at all, but that he used certain tactics, or in other words, his overall view of the battle situation is completely beyond our imagination. It seemed that he suddenly turned to the back just now, but in fact it was because we were facing each other head to tail. Received. The insight into this kind of tactics is too exaggerated. Jia Yan controlled the ultra-small battleship, walked around behind a group of battleships with an expressionless face, and then appeared on the side of them invisibly. Press the fire button suddenly. Escape. The player in a battleship had no time to say anything else, and the battleship he was driving turned into dust in the universe. Of course, this dust looks like dust, but in fact it is just an illusion created by the game operator. They will become the smallest units, floating in this universe, and will eventually become the resources of the new civilization, or in other words, minerals and such are mined. Boom boom boom. Jia Yan felt that he was as pure as fire in controlling this battleship. He drove the battleship past a sea of battleships. As a result, he was not injured at all, but behind him was a sea of battleships in flames. Large swaths of enemy warships were completely shot down by Jia Yan's single charge. Why is this happening? Outside this dire battleship battlefield, the masters on the enemy's mother civilization spaceship were shocked. He was a venerable, but even a venerable could not imagine that he would possess such battleship driving skills. No, either he is a stronger person than me, or he is actually a person who has reached the level of a venerable and has extremely outstanding driving ability. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to understand his driving ability. This venerable man didn't want to admit, or rather didn't want to admit, that the actual strength of the other driver was actually a more terrifying powerhouse than him. So he was thinking that the other party should be a venerable level pilot. After all, although there were not many such pilots, there would be some in every civilization or powerful army in the star field. A venerable level person with good driving skills may not even play a weaker role in the war in the starry sky than a stellar level expert. Of course, that depends on the actual situation. There is a head-on battle between stars, which is absolutely impossible. But such a venerable person would actually come here to play some kind of war game. It's so hard to imagine. You must know that the status of such a venerable level existence is completely different from that of an ordinary venerable level person like him. In fact, in a head-on battle, he may not necessarily lose much, but if the opponent is allowed to board the battleship, then even if he comes with 5 more, he may not be his opponent. Forget it, no matter whether it is a strong man who is stronger than me or a master in the driving profession, I can't afford to offend him. Can't I escape? I can't let such a game lead to any real-life problems. When the enemy comes, of course, it's just a game, and he won't want it, so let me kill him automatically. I spent a lot of money just to have fun. This venerable creature also loves to play games, so he doesn't want to surrender easily. Ever since, after seeing that every one of his battleship subordinates had the possibility of collapse, he suddenly no longer placed his hope on this group of subordinates. Such an enemy, not to mention that his subordinates cannot defeat him, even if he personally pilots this civilized spaceship with good defense, it will definitely be destroyed by him, so it is better to take the best approach. Our civilized spaceship actually escaped. Let's escape too. If we don't escape, we'll die if we stay here. Yes, even our master knows that he is no match for him. If we don't escape, why can we stay here and wait for death? A group of battleship pilots near Jia Yan each saw their own civilized spaceship and began the process of escaping. They quickly fled from all directions without daring to stay any longer. They are gamers. Although they are not afraid of death, in this game, death is death. If they want to enter the game again, they will have no chance unless they are lucky enough to be selected as a player again. Escape. The scattered warships were not so fast when they besieged Jia Yan, but they escaped as fast as the wind. After all, when sieging, you need to pay attention to a little bit of cooperation, and you also need to check whether your teammates' battleships are convenient for you to squeeze in. When escaping, it's easy. Just push the thruster button to the end. There will be no difference in speed. Huh? Are they all starting to run away? Oh, that's it? The opponent's civilized spaceships have all started to run away. It's natural for them to lose their fighting spirit. Jia Yan operated the warship and shot down the last warship. Then he looked at the warships that had escaped, and then looked at the opponent's civilized spacecraft that had long since moved away. He could only sigh in despair. Although his warship was extremely fierce in battle, it was still just a version with the same performance as the enemy's warship. If the thrusters were pushed all the way, he would not be able to catch up even if he wanted to. Hey, go back. Originally, I was thinking whether I could get the resources of the first civilization in this battle, but I didn't expect that it would not be that simple at all. Jia Yan drove the battleship and flew back. But flying, his heart moved. That's not right. I wasn't prepared to play my cards according to common sense. Although this civilized spaceship has escaped, it has failed after all. Even if there are some monitors in this game, as long as I don't know what's going on, I feel like, even if they want to attack, it's not that simple, right? Jia Yan thought of this and did it. As for the escaping spaceship, it was too slow for his true form. Even after escaping for so long, he didn't even escape an area as big as his own body. If he really wanted to move, he would die with just one look. Oh, I don't want to use my real body. After all, my real body is quite troublesome. If I waste my energy and make some changes in my mutation process, then I won't have anywhere to cry. But it's not necessarily uneconomical. As civilized as for the resources, once I get them, I will devour them directly, and maybe the wasted energy will be replenished. Jia Yan analyzed it for a while, and then he actually didn't go back. Instead, he drove his one-man battleship to chase the opponent's civilized spaceship. We win, ah? What is Captain Jia Yan doing? He's still chasing us. Could it be that he is chasing the opponent's civilized spaceship? How can he catch up with this? Even if he catches up, how can he destroy it? We are just a newly born civilization. The other party's civilization spaceship is only a few months old anyway. If he flies over with an ordinary warship, he is looking for death. Don't say you're looking for death, there's no way you can catch up. On this end, the people in the Earth civilization were all silent and dumbfounded. Just now, I was praising Jia Yan as a rare master, but now, this master actually chose to do an impossible thing. But they didn't dare to say anything. Jia Yan's combat power was there. Moreover, even if he couldn't catch up and couldn't break the opponent's spaceship defense, he should be fine. Maybe he wanted to give it a try. A civilization, how strong is the spaceship mothership? Maybe someone will figure out a way to shoot down an enemy's mothership in the future. So everyone is waiting to see. But the next development made all the players and creatures in this civilized spaceship feel extremely shocked, thinking that it was beyond their understanding. Because, after chasing for a certain distance, but feeling that the distance between the two sides was getting farther and farther, the Jia Yan battleship here launched a powerful light attack from Shiyuan. But this is not weak, compared to such a small battleship. Compared with the civilized spacecraft that is several hundred meters long, it is like a mosquito's needle, which may not even be enough to scratch the itch. But just like this attack, after hitting the civilized spaceship, boom! The entire spacecraft burst into flames. Ah! Exploded? Why? It actually exploded with just one shot. Did it hit something vital? This must be luck. With one shot, a civilization's mothership was destroyed. I wonder, Can one person destroy an enemy's civilization? It's too scary. Captain Jia Yan is definitely the trump card of our civilization. No, no, this ray must be luck. I will definitely not have such good luck next time. Whether it's luck or something, I did it. My God, Captain Jia Yan's strength, or luck, is simply incredible. The players of Earth civilization here were all dumbfounded and couldn't believe their eyes. Far away, the huge civilized spaceship gradually burst into brilliant light in the starry sky, and then, these lights instantly turned into fireballs. The entire civilization's spaceship actually exploded into a ball of flames. It destroys. Represents the destruction of a civilization. As for the destruction of the civilization, the warships escaping around them began to explode in an instant. Boom boom boom. The entire starry sky was filled with small explosions of light. It really succeeded. One person slaughtered a small civilization. This is too scary, our Captain Jia Yan. Within the Earth civilization, every living thing is in shock. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1934. It takes a genius to remember the address of this website in 1 second, fastest update. No ads? Especially when they saw the small battleship bathed in the flames of the explosion and returned to the Earth civilization, each of them felt like a mountain was rising in their hearts. The team member who had had an affair with Jia Yan was now even more silent and did not dare to make any more noise. This kind of strong man is definitely an incredible existence in reality. How dare he be hostile to Jia Yan anymore? Now he is afraid that the other party will want to cause trouble for him. His face turned pale with fear. If he weren't afraid of being accused of running away in fear of crime, he would have given up this gaming opportunity, just log out of the account, and never log in again. Fortunately, Jia Yan's return does not seem to have any intention of liquidating anyone. Okay, Lord Master, fortunately you have fulfilled your mission. We can go over and receive the other party's resources. Well, let's go, but many of these resources are useless. In my opinion, it's okay to collect them, but just collect them near the spacecraft to see if they are useful. If not, just throw them away. Well, that's a pity, but there's nothing we can do. If it's useless, we can't carry outside equipment to mine, right? Just throw it away. Jia Yan sang in harmony with the master controlled by Edisha, and all living creatures immediately accepted their method of treatment. As for the lucky shock ray just now, was it his battleship that fired it well, or was there something fishy about it? No one knows this except the person involved. It's just that for Jia Yan, the captain, suddenly destroyed a civilization in the game by himself. The other members and players were all extremely shocked. These shocks stayed in their hearts, making Jia Yan the leader in the civilization, except for the leader. Outside, the most authoritative person. Okay, you heard what Captain Jia Yan said. All of you should be able to fly a spaceship. Wait a while and collect some resources and I will create some resource spaceships. In the later stage, everyone should be able to fly one. The most primitive spaceship, this speed of development of our civilization will save at least several months. Everyone has no objection. Editha controlled her master game character and spoke calmly to the creatures around her. No comment. We naturally follow the words of Lord Master and Captain Jia Yan. Are you willing to serve, just for distribution, or according to the original distribution method of team members? All the players are recognizing Edisha's mobilization method. But they also have to fight for distribution. After all, everyone comes to play games to experience the game, or some players come to the game to make money. So resources are essential. Of course, resource allocation is still based on the rules in the original game. It's just that Master Jia Yan is the one who conquered a civilization. He must have the most resources, even more than our civilization. Everyone has no objection. Of course I have no objection to this. Master Jia Yan has conquered a civilized person. No matter how much he allocates, it is all right for us. Everyone agrees with the principle that Jia Yan gets the most. This battle was equivalent to Jia Yan's attack on a civilization alone, and even the final blow, directly destroying the opponent's civilization spaceship. How could anyone else compete with him? It's just that everyone is puzzled as to why the last ray is so powerful that even a civilized spacecraft cannot withstand it. Jia Yan has no idea of explaining. Anyway, to others, facts are facts. Even if they think about it and think it is luck, it is better than them knowing the truth and knowing that behind them, Jia Yan's real body exists and uses his real body to cheat. Did you kill the enemy's spaceship? Haha, now let's see if this operator sees anything and how he responds. If there is any response, then I can be prepared. What's more, using this little trick, I shouldn't anger anyone. Galaxy level, or territory lord creatures, but if their reaction is too weak, then I can be sure that there is probably no territory lord behind them, and I even know through judgment that there is not even a galaxy level. Jia Yan just destroyed the balance of the game and made himself attack other people's spaceships. This kind of thing should not be hidden from the operators of this game. Even if it is difficult for them to find real evidence, there will always be suspicion. Besides, they already know that this Earth civilization is guarded by a galaxy-level person from behind. Then use this reaction to test the other party's background. After all, even if there are galaxy-level or domain lords, it is impossible for them to come and fight with a mid-level galaxy creature like him just because he broke some game rules. If galaxy-level beings are so aggressive, it is estimated that the galaxy has long been filled with war. Just as Jia Yan thought, at this moment, several star-level beings near the operator of the game, which was an artificial star, were completely furious. What does this galaxy-level being want to do? Is he just here to have fun with us? He actually used his true strength to destroy a civilization. If he wanted to do this, he could easily get the first place. Okay, he actually did this. But what can we do? He is a galaxy-level being. We, the star-level ones, are not enough for him to breathe. Forget it, just turn a blind eye. At worst, in the future, I will just give some compensation to the masters who play games in private. Besides, I think this galaxy-level master should not those who play games with brute force. Don't go too far, we don't care so much, he can't ruin our entire game. In order to play this kind of game, I invested all the money I had saved all my life. I haven't returned all my money yet. I hope he doesn't do anything. Several star-level beings all felt sorry for each other, and there was nothing they could do about it. Although these few had great wealth, they did not find any galaxy-level beings to back them up. So at this moment, they have never had the idea of finding a galaxy-level being to be their backstage. This feeling is so strong that if a galaxy-level person appears in front of them right now, they will immediately let that galaxy-level person act as their backstage. At least they will not be bullied by a galaxy-level being like this. As for these star-level beings, they can only curse a few words, and they don't even dare to do any investigation. Oh! There was no investigation. It seems that I was wrong. Behind the operator of this game, there is not even a galaxy-level being. That's right. For such a game, although the income may be not bad, but it shouldn't catch the eyes of a galaxy-level person. At the Earth Civilization office, Jia Yan felt that the game operator was trying to calm things down, and he immediately smiled. He knew that the operator of this game should have no backend. This will make things much easier. However, we can't trust this judgment too much. Even if the operator of this game does not have a direct backend, there is still a possibility that they know some galaxy-level or domain lord creatures. In other words, they should want to hire a galaxy-level creature. It would be more difficult for super beings to take action, so they don't use these backup tactics. If I go too far or be too deceptive, they might use these methods. Jia Yan knows very well that in this starry sky, no weak person can underestimate the principle. After all, in this starry sky, it is already very close to the central area of the Milky Way, the most powerful starry sky in the entire galaxy. There are even people here. You may meet a high-level being from the galaxy. If he dares to be so bold, he may not even know how to write the word death. So he still had to be careful. In short, through this time I already know that even if the other party has a backstage, they shouldn't be so enthusiastic. This will make my actions easier. After Jia Yan knew this, he felt relieved. His growth has been filled with many ups and downs, so he has always been cautious. This time his bad ideas were not realized, which can be regarded as some recognition of his own strength. It was not his fault that he was unlucky, but now even bad luck could hardly come to him for a while. This was because his strength had reached a certain level. How is it, Master? Suddenly, Jia Yan, who was in the subspace, heard Edish's inquiry from the outside world. It is also worried that someone from the operator will come to investigate or find some strong people, and Jia Yan will definitely escape with it again. You know, they don't have much energy to escape. Even if they use the Edisha, they can only escape once. It's okay, no one is here. I think our behavior like last time should be within the other party's tolerance level. Jia Yan smiled slightly. Haha, that's good. It will be more convenient for us in the future. I will find someone to collect resources. Master, please repair it quickly. Okay. Jia Yan stopped talking. Even if he wants to speak next, Jia Yan will not use his true body easily. There is no way this time. After all, the detection range of his true body is much larger than that of the game clone, or the civilization of the game Earth civilization. Much further. Of course, the Edissa also has detection capabilities, but it needs to release a large number of reconnaissance aircraft, surrounded by the game space. If the game operator knows about it, there will always be some bad effects, so Jia Yan did not let the Edissa dispatched. Is Captain Jia Yan practicing again? The player characters in this game also need to practice. Are you stupid? The training he is talking about is not the training of the game character. I think it should be the training of the real identity. What is certain is that his real strength is definitely not low, so he can do such a thing. Yes, this is probably the only time in your life that you will have a conversation with a being of such strength, so don't bother Captain Jia Yan anymore, and don't forget his strength. Strong people don't like these questions very much. Okay, this is also the captain. Your strength has reached the high level of heaven, so you have such knowledge. We don't have this kind of knowledge. What kind of high-level heaven-level person? In front of Captain Jia Yan, I am not even qualified to carry shoes. If my estimate is correct, Captain Jia Yan is at least a high-level venerable person, and maybe even a half-star level person exist. Oh my god, half a star? That's really a powerful person I've never talked to in my life. I'm a little trembling. When I see Mr. Jia Yan later, I don't know how to speak. Don't be nervous. Since adults are here to play games, they just want to experience it. After all, if they are a half-star existence, the only thing that can interest them in this kind of game is to enjoy the game occasionally. We don't need to care too much about each other. His identity, that might make Master Jia Yan unhappy. Yes, we can't be too disrespectful, but don't be too pretentious, otherwise Mr. Jia Yan will be unhappy. Just treat it as a game. Members of the Earth civilization are all fuming. Some people are terrified of Jia Yan's strength, while others are overjoyed. But everyone, looking for the book, understands that Jia Yan Mr. Yan should be a top-notch strong man and should not be disturbed too much. So Jia Yan was immersed in his room and practicing, and no one else complained. With such a strong person playing games with them, they also feel that they do not need to do any tedious things. As long as there is such a strong person, the future path of civilization will go more smoothly, and their gaming experience will also be better. Definitely better. Haha, the resources over there have been mined with the first battleship. Guys, get ready. Resource ships will appear next. Everyone is ready to collect resources. Okay, these are all gains, no one would be lazy, ha ha ha. Each member was waiting beside the small battleship that flew out again. At this time, the battleship that had just fought returned from collecting a large group of enemy battleship wreckage. What is fundamentally different from ordinary wars is that this game is a game after all, and all resources are basic and energy-based. As a result, a damaged battleship looks broken, but can be collected from another civilization or destroyed. After a civilization is recycled, it can quickly be turned into other parts according to the intelligent control of that civilization. The same is true at this time. When large tracts of resources are collected, the debris is thrown into a machine of the spacecraft. Not long after, a simpler resource ship was built. Okay, the first ship, don't fight if you want to get on it, everyone has a share, go out and collect it quickly. I'll do it, haha, I'm the captain, I'll go first. One captain took advantage of his rights and actually boarded the first resource ship. People who board the resource ship can collect resources, and then part of these resources will be counted as their own harvest. M.